Can you turn that toward this person? It is now 6:34. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll be skipping the flag salute tonight and going directly to topics from the floor. This is that are not on the public hearing agenda, limited to 5 minutes per topic. Anybody would like to speak? Now's the time.
Oh.
No.
Got here early so I could get a good seat, so.
There you go. All right. All right, Planning Commission minutes dated July 8th, 2025. Does anybody have any corrections? Not-
No, except there's one mysterious thing about it. Reference to mysterious is what I was going after.
Minutes?
No, not in the minutes, I guess. That was in the report, sorry. It was for a second.
If nobody has any corrections on the minutes, so we have a motion to approve them.
I make a movement that we accept them.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes. So Commissioner Herman. You vote?
Yeah.
Jacobson.
Kastner is virtual.
Kastner, I'm sorry. And Commissioner Kastner, how do you vote on the minutes?
I vote yay.
Great. All right, that puts us to the first public hearing. It is now 6:36. The public hearing is now open. This is a quasi judicial land use hearing. The subject of this hearing is a request for an annexation. Subject property is identified on the county assessor's map as lot 58506 Kavanaugh Street on map 4N1W-8AC-2500. The applicant is Mark Comfort. The owner is Tom Mahaffey. Because quasi judicial proceedings require the observance of certain procedural formalities, we will take a few moments to cover some preliminary matters and required statements. Does any member of the commission wish to declare a potential or actual conflict of interest or bias in this matter? Do I need to ask Commissioner Kastner, or he will just chime in if he has a bias? What's
No bias.
bias? Okay. Let's see here. Does any member of the commission wish to declare any ex parte communications or site visits? Does anyone from the audience object to the ability of a commissioner to make a fair decision? Seeing none. Generally, the order of proceedings will be as follows: recorded statements, staff report, applicant's presentation, those in favor of the application, neutral testimony, those opposed, rebuttal by applicant, final questions, close of record, deliberations, and decision. Following statements are required to be made at the commencement of the hearing pursuant to the city code and ORS 197.7975. Following is a list of applicable substantive criteria for the decision. St. Helens Municipal Code 17.08.040, 17.08.060, 17.28.030, and 17.112.030. All testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward the applicable substantive criteria as described or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or land use regulation which the person believes applies to the decision. Failure to raise an issue, including constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of approval in this hearing in person or in writing, or failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the approving authority an opportunity to respond to the issue, precludes appeal to LUBA, the Land Use Board of Appeals, on that issue, and precludes an action for damages in circuit court.
Thank you, Chair Shoemaker. So this is another annexation. It's a property that's been developed with a dwelling since the 1950s. It's next to a property that's kind of all torn up, north of the Les Schwab Tire Center. This isn't relevant for your decision for the annexation, but just of interest. So the owner of that property, the torn up one, they've submitted an application to put a gas station there. So it's no secret, we have a land use application on it. And they helped that owner out with something, I can't remember what it was now, but it sounds like they would have the option to purchase that to expand the potential commercial footprint there. So just an interesting tidbit for your next cocktail party. There was a second home that was put on there as a medical hardship. And that's why a connection to sanitary sewer was required, because there's not enough room for whatever on-site system they had and that second home. So that triggered the annexation. And that's why we're here. When we annex, it has to be contiguous with city limits. Interestingly, another cocktail fact to use, this is the last property on this block to be annexed. So we're filling in that little gap. It's hard to imagine. When I started here, none of that was in city limits. It was that Kavanaugh LID that pushed that sewer through that triggered all this over the years. So we're gonna have a whole block in the city if the Planning Commission and City Council agree. This is a recommendation to the City Council from you all as the Planning Commission. So because it's surrounded on multiple sides by city limits, it's no question being contiguous. Another thing we have to think about are the statements of consent to annex and the time limitation on those. There's a 1-year period for that. And the consent was recorded September of last year. So we're still within that 1 year. Came up for the Bing's annexation and kind of turned that into a nuclear event. That shouldn't be an issue here since it's a recent one. Now, sometimes with these annexations, we have to contemplate and debate what zoning should apply. But in this case, there's not much thinking. We can do this. Because the comprehensive plan designates it as highway commercial, which means there's really only choice, highway commercial. So staff recommendation is to annex it, to have a comprehensive plan of highway commercial incorporated, not outside, and be zoned highway commercial. Simple.
So my question would be then, since the applicant and the owner are not the same person, we don't run into the same issue we had on Bing's where the applicant.
Yeah, the argument made then is the ownership had changed over time because that was an annexation consent filed like 15 years ago. And, you know, in defense, you know, attorney watching out for their client. In this case, Mr. Comfort helped the owner because Mr. Comfort owns and operates the RV park, which you can just see just to the left of there. And for some reason was helping the person out. But as it relates to your question, Mr. Comfort just did the legwork. He did not sign the consent. And that's the key thing is the consent, which we have was the owner of the property, unlike Biggs, because that had changed over time.
Right, so please remember that we can ask questions at this time, but cannot deliberate until the public hearing is closed. That said, does the commission have any questions of staff? It's pretty straightforward. Commissioner Kastner, do you have any questions?
None from me.
No further questions from the commission and no further responses from staff. The public record is closed and this matter is returned to the table for deliberations or oral decision. If there's any deliberations, it is seems pretty straightforward. We've worked on everything around it. But there's no, it looked like in the staff report, there's no issues with them not hooking up to water. It's just
Well,
says they'll be served by the McNulty for,
that's the best guess simply because city water infrastructure is not in the immediate area
600 feet away.
with a wetland in between it. That could change, but that's the best guess. And so that's what we talked about in there. And it doesn't change our
water too.
our urban services agreement that we have McNulty, which kind of says who serves what, but that's when the water is present.
Let's see here. Anybody want to make a motion? We need a motion for this, even though it's a recommendation.
Make a motion that we vote. Is that it? On this, on the annexation?
Right, you're making a motion on yes or no on the annexation, a
Yes.
recommendation to council.
Well, yeah. I thought we were making a motion to vote on. Making a motion to vote.
Well, you make the motion and then you would vote on the motion and see whether or not it was upheld.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I make a
It's hot
mo-
outside, we're all like.
I make a motion that we vote on the annexation.
Okay. You have a second, or,
I vote yes.
well, I need a second first.
I'll second.
Right, so Commissioner Herman's a yes. Commissioner Kastner,
Yes.
That's it.
that's it. It says no need to continue down here, so that looked different to me on here. Final written decision of the planning commission may be appealed to the city council. The notice of decision will be mailed to all persons who testified or submitted comments. And the appeal deadline will be included in the notice. Does that apply?
That does not apply because council is the decision maker, meaning the appellate authority is. Would only be the final decision. This is so easy, you want to make it more difficult.
Just used to,
Yeah, and that's good. It's, maybe I've been in the heat too much myself.
Right. Now 6:47. The public hearing is now open. This is a quasi judicial land use hearing. The subject of the hearing is request for a conditional use permit. Subject property is identified County Assessor's map as lot 2615 Sykes Road and 2400 Gable Road on the map. 4N1W5DC 8000 and 4N1W8AB 1003. The applicant is City of St. Helens. The owner is Presbytery of the Cascades and the Nationwide Health Services. Because quasi judicial proceedings require the observance of certain procedural formalities, we will take a few moments to cover some preliminary matters and required statements. Does any member of the commission wish to declare a potential or actual conflict of interest or bias in this matter? Seeing and hearing none. Does any member of the commission wish to declare any ex parte communications or site visits? Seeing none.
No.
Does anyone from the audience object to the ability of the commissioner to make a fair decision?
No.
Generally, the order of proceedings will be as follows: required statements, staff report, applicant's presentation. Those in favor of the application, neutral testimony. Those opposed, rebuttal by applicant, final questions, close of the record, deliberations, and decision. Following statements are required to be made at the commencement of the hearing pursuant to City Code and ORS 197.7975. The following is a list of the applicable substantive criteria for this decision. St. Helens Municipal Code 17.100.040. All testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward the applicable substantive criteria as described or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or land use regulation, which the person believes applies to the decision. Failure to raise an issue, including constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed condition of approval in this hearing in person or in writing, or failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the approving authority opportunity to respond to the issue, precludes appeal to LUBA, the Land Use Board of Appeals, on that issue, and precludes an action for damages in circuit court.
Chair Shoemaker. So the reason why we're here is, for some reason, the city decided to update its decades-old sewer master plan after decades of growth.
That's random.
Yeah. And then realize, our infrastructure's grossly deficient. So now we're trying to fix it. And this is one of those components of that. This is for a new sanitary sewer main through 2 private properties. Those properties abut Sykes and Gable Road. Each road which has a sewer main through it, which is shown on the green lines on the photo. And the proposal is to make a connection between those sewer mains, which is the dashed yellow line, and that is going through these 2 properties. The church along Sykes has been there a long time, according to the assessor data. It was built in 1950. And then Avamere, which may be called something different now, it was built more recently, around 2000. So I don't know if I have ever had a land use hearing on a new sewer main. And when we were exploring this, as usual, we look at the code, look at definitions and go, well, son of a gun, it looks like it falls in this category where we need to do a conditional use permit. So here we are, this conditional use permit for this new sanitary sewer line. I should note that the application talks about restoration of the surface impacts, proposed completion of the project. And in my photos, I observed some cracked curbing and a tree that's inventoried, which is not there. Good things that relatively well at the end. That doesn't get so much into the conditional use permit. Usually in these kind of things, we're talking about what kind of improvements we should see, things like that. In this case, we have 2 developed properties. The path generally follows paved area, drive aisles. There is a place in between the properties where it directly goes through some landscaping. But we do have a lot of trees in the area. Now, when we have a conditional use permit, we have to consider our site development review standards. Our site development review standards includes considerations of trees with a diameter at breast height. That's basically the height of the trunk, about 4.5 feet from the ground, 6 inches or larger. We also have a tree preservation chapter, which is a little bit more aggressive, but that covers trees with a diameter at breast height of more than 12 inches. Tree plan is required because there's a lot of trees, and even one of them closer to Sykes is larger than 2 feet. It's a nice big old black oak, I think is what it was. The main thing that I saw as staff, so we would want to have a protection program by an arborist, define how the trees are going to be protected during construction. A lot of roots that could potentially be encountered to make sure they're cut and managed correctly. And the one suggestion I would make to the commission on page 6 of the staff report, this is the second half of condition of approval, that the tree protection plan by an arborist apply to all trees at least 6 inches, so not just the ones 1 foot. Speaking to our engineering division about it, they thought it was wise since it's a public project, and that would help mitigate hard feelings because, you know, we have the right person out there to monitor trees and help ensure their survival, especially because there's some really nice ones there that I'm sure the owners would not want to see damaged. So that's the main recommendation for staff. And also coordinate with the county to make sure that we work in the Gable Road right away. Pikes is a city road. Gable Road is county, although the county is looking to give that to us, but not in time for this land use decision. We do have a couple staff people with AKS. We should probably give them the opportunity to comment as the applicants, and they're the folks that have been working with us on this. And that would conclude my report.
Okay, if I ask a couple questions, I'm just curious.
Yeah, sure.
If these are private properties, the city took it by eminent domain, or are they requiring an easement? How are we?
Yeah, we'll get an easement. Yeah, I'm not aware of the negotiations that happen behind the scenes. And AKS should probably be able to answer that, but I'm not aware of wars or strong arming.
I wasn't thinking that, but okay. Right. Please remember that we can ask questions at this time, but cannot deliberate until after the public hearing is closed. That said, do we have any questions of staff?
Oh, we got to do testimony.
Right, I know, but I'm reading it in order. It came right after staff report, and then from there, it goes request applicant's presentation after that.
Maybe I'll look at it after the meeting. That sounds good.
Okay. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Hi, everyone. Yes, we do have a presentation. If I may, I can share my screen.
Great.
Provide that. Alrighty.
If you could please state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Marilee Vorster. I'm a land use planner with AKS Engineering and Forestry, and I worked on putting this application together. So to begin, Jacob gave a good background information on our situation here. So as a summary, AKS is working in coordination with the City of St. Helens and our partner Conser, who is doing the engineering for the sanitary system improvements. And then AKS is working on the land use entitlements portion. So, as Jacob said, for the background, the city's wastewater system was studied back in 2021, and the City Council approved the current wastewater system master plan. And that plan did find that the wastewater system is undersized, and the growing population is going to continue to add strain to the system if we don't intervene and provide some relief. In particular, if you can see my screen, the figure, can't see it?
No.
Let me see. There we go.
Thanks.
All right. So yes, if you can see my screen here, the figure on the right is from the wastewater system master plan and essentially shows areas in the current wastewater system that are under high pressure and have the potential to overflow. In particular, the application we're talking about for Sykes and Gable Road is in the subject area, that yellow box. And as you can see through there, there's a lot of potential for sewer overflow. And a sewer overflow is essentially when untreated sewage flows out of the system and could get into the drinking water system or into our rivers. So it's definitely something we want to avoid. So in order to help address some of these needs, let's see if I can move my PowerPoint on, there we go. We'll apply for this conditional use permit to add this line between Sykes and Gable Road. This new sewer system will run, as Jacob said, through a 15-foot public utility easement. And that easement area will be negotiated with the property owners as a part of our preparation process for submitting this application. Our partners at Conser have been coordinating with the property owners and actually did get their signatures and consent to put this application in. So all of that groundwork has been laid to make sure that this is an amicable process and that everybody's interests are being taken into account. And all of the post-construction work and repairs will be made in order to make sure that those properties are returned to the condition that's usable for those property owners. So I'll quickly just touch on a couple of the approval criteria for conditional use permits. As Jacob mentioned, this is kind of an unusual application because, we're not proposing to add a new use or a new structure or anything along those lines. We're just adding this underground sewer main that will then essentially get covered up again by pavement and will just exist as an easement that will only be accessed for maintenance. Otherwise, the uses that are on the property are just going to continue. So the current criteria for conditional use are included in the staff report on page 3. The first criterion says that the site size and dimensions must provide adequate area for the needs of the proposed use. In this case, these properties really do meet this criterion. We'll be placing that 15-foot easement area within basically all paved area on these two properties. It's will impact landscaping to a limited extent, but all of that landscaping will then be replaced once the sewer line has been installed. Because of the characteristics of these properties, none of the buildings need to be disrupted by construction of this line. So really they are sized adequately to run this line through. Additionally, criterion B, the characteristics of the site are suitable for the proposed use considering shape, size, location, topography, and natural features. As you can kind of see on this image on the right side of the PowerPoint, there is nowhere else in this block really that is quite as suited for this particular line. These two properties have this nice paved area that you can run the line straight through without impacting additional buildings. So really in this block, this is the best place to run this line through in order to alleviate some of those overflow concerns. Criterion C, all required public facilities have adequate capacity to serve the proposal. In this case, we're really trying to expand the city's ability to meet facility requirements. So by installing this sewer line, you may be able to fit additional development into the city. Without expanding these lines, we'll run into issues with capacity. So that criterion is met. Criterion D, the applicable requirements of the zoning district are met as modified by this chapter. In this case, like I said before, we're not actually adding any new uses or buildings to these properties. It'll just be temporary impacts that will then be restored back to essentially pre-construction condition and in some cases improved. Criterion E says that the supplementary requirements set forth in Chapter 17.88 signs and site development review 17.96, if applicable, are met. In this case, no signs are proposed, so that is not applicable. And the site development review criteria, really the main one that we need to worry about are the trees, like Jacob presented. And we are on board with the city's staff's approach towards preservation of trees on site. Criterion F states that the use will comply with the applicable policies of the comprehensive plan, and this application really will advance the policies laid out in the comprehensive plan related to the provision of public facilities. By improving the sanitary sewer system in this way, we'll be able to better meet future needs while also protecting public health and ensuring that those overflow events are reduced. So this application really will advance the policies laid out in the comprehensive plan. So with that, we've pointed here that all of the approval criteria for conditional use are met. I'll just share a little more of a zoomed in version of this site so that you can see just what's going on here. The line in red is basically the alignment of where this new sewer line will run. You can see there's one tree circled kind of in the middle. That is the one tree that's going to be removed in order to run the sewer line through these two properties. And with conversations with that property owner, that tree will be removed but will be replaced in a different location to make sure that it's compatible with the new sewer alignment through this property. And then I just included the pictures from the staff report with some general arrows pointing to where on the site those are based on the aerial view. And for example, like this curb here would likely be replaced and restored so that it's in full working condition, not broken up because of this. So there are benefits to the property owners as well for running the sewer line through. And that concludes my applicant testimony. If you have any questions for me, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions? All right, is there any testimony in support of the application? Seeing none online, I'm assuming. Any,
Nope.
sorry,
No, not from me.
any neutral testimony at this time? You're not for or against the proposal? Seeing none. Any testimony in opposition of this application? So seeing none. Does the commission have any final questions?
I'm just curious where their sewage goes right now with the health facility and the church.
Well, I'm sure they're connected to the sewer lines in the abutting rights of way.
On Sykes and Gable.
Yeah, they must, because that's really the only option.
I think it would be a challenge to work this site just because at Avamere, there's so many emergency vehicles in and out of there and everybody pulling in and out. It's going to be a challenge for them. But. All right. This time, let's see. Hearing no further questions from the commission and no further responses from staff, the public record is closed and this matter is returned to the table for deliberations and oral decision. Any discussion?
It's pretty straightforward again.
It's very straightforward. Commissioner Kastner, you have any questions or discussion?
None.
I make a motion that we vote on.
Second. Yes. Commissioner Jacobson, Commissioner Kastner, how do you vote?
Yes.
On this hearing, we're the final decision maker. Jacob.
Make a motion that we sign off on it.
This next step.
Let's try to.
You can make that motion.
I make that motion.
All right. We have a second for the signature. All right. Commissioner Herman,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Kastner,
Yes.
For the AKS folks, what just happened is if they didn't motion for a signature, they would have to bring the findings back to the next scheduled meeting so they could look at it and go, yeah, that's what our decision was. This means they let the chairperson do that and it makes it more efficient.
The final written decision of the planning commission may be appealed to the city council. Notice of decision will be mailed to all persons who testified or submitted comments, and the appeal deadline will be included in the notice. Not seeing a script for the next.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a script for anything else. Just this.
Oh, that's just, yes, you're right. I saw the 2400 Cable Road. All right. Planning director decisions previously emailed to the commission.
Coincidentally, one of those, the sensitive lands permit, is also related to the city sewer project.
All right. There's no questions for staff. Discussion items, architectural review, the new door for the courthouse.
Yeah, so it's time to change your hat. Put on your Historic Landmarks Commission hat. Or what's probably another simple project. It's easy money tonight. No, you don't get your stipends because of the budget, so it's easy to pretend money. So the courthouse, once again, is making us think about our architectural standards. But perhaps not as hard as we would on some proposals, since this one's pretty simple. The side facing the river. Or there is a door kind of close to the doors where you would have gone. There's a solid door. I think it was there for when the jail was operating out of that building. And as part of a remodel project, they want to change out that solid door with one with the window. And that is an architectural change. We do have someone representing the county to discuss that. As far as staff looking at it, the existing door is, as I mentioned, featureless and utilitarian. The new one will resemble some nearby doors, and there's illustrations in your packet. So it's going to have a window and a kick plate like bottom, which are identified in the guidelines. If Brendan Hart would like to expand on that, now would be your time.
Hi, everyone. Brendan Hart here, representing the county in this project. And working with Jacob, understand that this alteration is subject to the Historic Landmarks Commission's review for compliance with the Riverfront Plaza guidelines, many of which don't specifically relate to this particular door replacement. But we have provided the Jacob and the commission with a narrative response for why we believe this proposed alteration would be compliant with the relevant guidelines, which I'd be happy to walk through in detail if there is any need or question.
In the past, we approved those double glass doors that we see in this picture.
I
think
you may have, yeah. I kind of remembered the discussion about that.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
My only question would be, is just because this is what's provided to us is kind of what it will be like, is it going to match those double doors?
It won't be sliding in its operation. It'll be a swinging door. But the style and rail and glazing configuration will be similar to what's shown to the sliding configuration. We are proposing, and this is something we'd be open to feedback on, we're proposing that the finish of the door match the existing door and the adjacent door, that kind of cream tannish color, rather than the black or bronze of the sliding doors. This will be a secondary entrance. We didn't want to attract public attention to this particular door too much.
don't really see any issue with it.
Since the doors are gonna be the same color and they're separated from the other double doors. Yeah, the same.
Is the glass frosted or clear?
We're proposing clear.
My questions too.
Well, the contemporary, that annex is the contemporary side of it.
Yeah.
When the courthouse was built, all the traffic came off the river from boats. That was the front, and everybody came in that way. So, but I don't have any issue with this door proposal. Commissioner Kastner, do you have any thoughts?
No, wouldn't mind disapproving the actual annex itself, but well, it's too late.
Yeah, by 50 years or so.
Yeah,
Just a few.
all right. Are we just guiding you on this?
Yeah, this is a recommendation to staff, so I can be like, you know what, you're wrong. No, we haven't done that, but it is a recommendation to staff.
By motion?
Yeah, a motion would be appropriate.
Does anybody have a motion on this?
Fine.
Okay, second? Moved and seconded? Commissioner Herman?
Oh, yes.
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 Yes. Commissioner Kastner?
Yes.
It's easy. Brandon, you got off easy tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, this is interesting topic for now.
It is.
Planning Commission attendance policy discussion.
Should we just table it? Because David Rosengart was going to be.
He has provided staff with.
Yeah, he did provide us something, but I was gonna make the same suggestion. It's probably gonna be a better discussion, a more lively and thorough discussion if we have more of our folks here. And then we as staff would have more time to digest it too. With Jenny being gone now, have a little bit less time for things, so. I recommend that we table that for next month.
Since I will be on vacation next meeting, can I participate in that discussion somehow after the meeting or?
Yeah. Or
It's not that pressing, so we can
we
absolutely
can postpone it to October if you want, if that's.
Yeah, if everybody's okay with that, I appreciate that.
I'm happy with that. I mean, as long as everybody's here, that.
It's easier post-summer to get everybody here, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
Summer is sacred around here.
Yeah.
Right, so we can postpone that to
Yeah.
October. I think we have a consensus from everybody on one. Okay, I see Charles nodding his head, then everybody here nodded their head, so, okay.
All right, planning quarterly report.
So yeah, before it was monthly, now it's quarterly. And before the report was done, just barely too late to get into this packet. This report, the significance of this report since Jenny left in early July, it's the last one with her significant footprints on their fingerprints. Some things I would like to note, next year, we'll have to start preparing for our next housing capacity analysis. That's required by the state, where we have to look at our housing need and our ability to provide housing and see where that ends up. When we did it before, several years ago now, the finding was that we had adequate land for all of our housing needs, including our low density, single family dwelling and apartments. It'll be interesting to see what it says this time around.
Let's say criteria changing or something.
There are substantial changes this year. And in fact, the consultant who helped us with our economic opportunities analysis, Beth Goodman with Eco Northwest, they worked on housing, and what used to be called housing needs analysis, now it's housing capacity analysis. She said that there are a lot of changes this year, and it would be better if the larger jurisdictions pioneered those. And she recommended that we see if we could push it back a year, which we did. The state was okay with that. So maybe some of that stuff will be a little bit more massaged, which hopefully will give us a better product. And there's a bunch of other stuff in there. Can't recall everything.
I was curious about on the general operations, the conducted research for yachts landing, boat slip parking.
Oh, yeah.
Those two.
Yeah, so the Yachts Landing folks, that property along River Street. You know, it's an older file, one that I don't know if I ever had to crack into. So some of the people who live there wanted to understand it better. And so the question was parking provided, because you have all the residents there, and then you have dockage associated with that development and boat slips. So the question was parking provided exclusively for the benefit of the residents, or were the slips contemplated in the parking required? And it looked like the parking did include consideration of the slips as an independent use. I think there was some conflict on people renting slips and parking and the residents not liking it. So, okay, well, what was the decision? And that's what we saw. So a little bit more about another property.
I'm confused. They're allowed to rent them still?
They rent those slips.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
And there's an entrance to the side of the development, but also the people that live in the condos on the parking lot side, they enter their properties so they don't, or their condos, since they don't have to do all the steps, they can go straight in if they park in that parking lot. So that's why I was curious about it.
Yeah, because at first my assumption was, oh man, this is gonna be horrible. But then, oh, that's what was approved. Easy.
I just
Do
was,
we need,
you had to get involved in that kind of issue.
Well, because it was a land use decision. And
do we need to declare any kind of bias?
So in this discussion, do you have a vote there?
yeah, there's no vote on this, Charles.
Okay. I do. I'm now an owner of one of the slips in there. But of course, do not live in there.
So do you want to declare bias from me saying it was okay based on my research?
Well, I actually like that statement, Jacob. But I just want to make sure I'm above board and
Appreciate that.
Sure.
let people know.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you or Angela or Angelica or somebody told everybody else the reason I'm not there sitting with you in person is that I've tested positive for COVID after attending my high school reunion this past weekend.
Appreciate that you're not here spreading the love.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate your attendance.
Yes.
Even though it was easy money night, I didn't want to have to reschedule the hearing. So
Yeah. No, that's no problem.
and you even got some intel on Yachts Landing too. So it was all worth it.
There you go. Yeah, because I've wondered about that. Is there a certain number that is set aside, or not necessarily set aside, but are counted for that?
Yeah.
And how do you park there and not get in trouble?
But basically, and this is from memory, but wasn't too long ago, the parking associated with each unit was under or by the unit, and then the spaces along the street were more or less associated with the boat slips.
So we're not talking about slips or not slips, sorry. Parking spaces there in the county lot or whatever that's
No.
called.
No,
Okay.
Which makes it difficult for anybody that doesn't live in there and has a slip.
True.
yeah, that was, I'm glad you brought that up. That was another component, was the county's tolerance of parking in the lot, which has waned. But there was nothing in the land use decision that talked about the county's lot use at all.
Right. Okay.
Jacob, would you like just for us to ask you questions? I mean, I assume everybody reviewed this. How'd you like us to proceed? Because I have a couple questions on different things. Is it easier if I just, you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we provide a copy of the report, so you can see it, and if you are curious about something, yeah.
My other question was on the pre-application section, where it said attended a pre-application meeting for property within UDB outside the city limits.
Yeah, that the one off Millard Road.
That's a one for sale.
Mm.
He has for sale or?
It's, I can point it to you on this map.
Oh, no, it's 1 acre larger.
Yeah, so it's on the south side of Millard Road, by the Ross Road intersection.
Okay.
So here's the city's Millard Road. It's this one here.
This is the one that people were mistaking when you get that clarification for
Yes,
us.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly, yeah. They have been talking to the county and the city off and on for several years. And, you know, originally, 5 years ago or so, they talked about doing a mobile home park. And then they talked about doing a standards residential city lot size subdivision. Then they talked about 1 acre lots. You know, there was interest in doing something, but they're trying to figure out what the best route is. And of course, sewer and the ability to expand it is a significant component of that, as I mentioned in the.
On, I
I
think,
haven't heard from them in a while though.
no. My only other one was, and I think Scott, you Scott at the 2 is on page 4 where you say, talking about the underutilization of storefronts, and it says goals for this planning commission, proactive items seem mysterious.
What did I say?
He said the group also discussed vacant and underutilized storefronts. Goals for this planning commission, proactive items seem mysterious.
Oh,
That's what I brought up at the.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I was just unsure.
Where we're going,
Yeah, it's been this concern with your lack of direction, and I think that was my sentiment.
Okay, all right. Does anybody have any other questions? Going through.
Just, I mean, because I'm on the Parks and Trails and we got the it's Caboose to St. Helens Trail. I don't know if you've been updating, I get mixed up, if you've been updating the Parks and Trails with that.
There really hasn't been an update.
I mean, if we, as a Parks and Trail Commissioner, if you could keep us in the loop, I'm asking.
Oh, okay, that's your request. I gotcha. That's fair enough.
Sorry.
And I think
Set my bounds here.
there may be a citizen committee related to that. And if so, you know, we'd probably try to siphon someone from the Parks Commission.
All right, do you have any other standout issues you'd like to make sure we pay attention to?
One thing I want to mention, last meeting, we talked about subcommittees and the Oregon Government Ethics Commission and how that kind of squashed the whole subcommittee thing. And there was some question on if we've asked our legal counsel. As we speak, Ashley Wygod, who is the attorney that you see with the council nowadays, is working on a guidance document. So I don't know what it's going to include. There is something happening behind the scenes in that regard. So I figured that was noteworthy, given the brief discussion we had on last month.
That brings to memory, though, the email that you sent out regarding the citizens being able to refresh my memory on that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So another question was if citizens can provide information to commissioners. And a citizen, just Joe Schmo off the street, is not subject to Government Ethics Commission because they're not electeds or appointeds. So if you had an army of people helping you, and then you took that information and then shared that, violation.
How would the mechanics of that work, that we would make it an agenda item, that if we had people come to us and wanted to have some input? Parking.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to have a forum, that's something we could do, you know, prior to the Ethics Commission rulings or after. I think as it pertains to this, but that would be, you know, with the meeting minutes, all the stuff you're supposed to have. Counter to that, let's say you as a commissioner wanted to have your own meeting. You rented out a Grange Hall. Say, well, I want to talk about, I don't know, homeless camping. And there was no other electeds there or appointeds. It's just you. That's not necessarily violating anything because it's just you. You're just gathering input for your own purpose. So you can take that when you bring it back to the governing body.
I just, I don't know where it was, but if you were to talk to somebody, let's say Joe Schmo, a citizen, Joe Schmo went and talked to me, that could put us in violation if he tells me what you said to him. So
I think I'm most comfortable waiting for the guidance from the attorney, but I don't know if everybody feels that way, but I think I'm most comfortable waiting for that.
yeah, that too.
You just, you know, who knows what can happen with all the things that we've seen in St. Helens over the last several years. Yeah. Sometimes better to be safe than sorry. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because the allegations don't have to be true.
Say that again?
I said allegations do not have to be true. Allegations of wrongdoing on our behalf.
All right, on proactive items. Don't think we have any movement on architectural standards. I guess where I want to start on proactive items is it's kind of a new scenario. Jenny's gone and we have planning department of you and your helper. So how do you envision that affecting our proactive items with your staff time? And
Well, I mean, I've been thinking about this for a long time. You know, ideally, we would have a dedicated community development director, a planning manager, and a couple planners. Now, that's unrealistic. But that would allow staff to directly help and really advance these subjects rather than just kind of spinning our wheels. That's an ideal world. It's probably years, if not decades away, to have that kind of staff. Now, as it is with just myself, I can at least say my frequency of swearing at my desk has increased, I don't know, probably 300%. And naturally, that, it's just trying to keep up with the day-to-day stuff. I'm now worried about like that housing capacity analysis next year. Now we do intending on hiring someone. There's a step one associate planner in the budget. And we'll probably advertise that later this year at some point. But then there's training and stuff like that. But it decreases capacity and direct support. So even some of the things like the memo and photos that I took about the windows, I probably won't have a lot of spare time to do even something like that, just to help get the discussion going. So it'll, it's a limitation.
On the architectural standards, speaking of the windows, I don't think we've had any movement really beyond last month's meeting. I don't have anything. So then vacant and underutilized storefronts. So weekend before last, I was with Aaron from Main Street and County Commissioner Smith, and we gave a tour to the Heritage Commission.
Oh, yeah.
Town. It was really interesting, and it was a lot of there was commissioners appointed by the governor that with grants, and just so happens in that group that one of the members was the former planner that from Astoria that worked through all their vacant storefronts, and so I asked if I could pick her brain, and she said absolutely. She was a planner there for 15 years. She's no longer the planner, but she consults for City of Astoria. So she made a suggestion on where I could look in their code for what they do. I forwarded that just yesterday to Commissioner Jacobson, and she said absolutely I could reach out by probably best by email first. I'll make that introduction for you so you can take, since you're chairing that, but I read through it and it's interesting. So I think that's what
I think I might have read through it previously.
we talked about, the carrots and sticks kind of thing that we had talked about before. And she said, yeah, sometimes you need the sticks. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting though, is if the building is going to be vacant, they're required to, in their storefront. She said a lot of people would put like a mural photograph kind of a historic, when the building was historic. So it's something to look at.
I've seen that. They did that in Reno, actually.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it was smart.
And requirements to keep up the buildings, like with awnings that need to be replaced and those things. So, and there's fines and they're not doing that.
And then you have to list that they are vacant too.
Yeah.
Within like 30 days or something to
I
that.
was very excited to meet her because I was like, oh, great. Can we talk, please?
Yeah, someone with hands-on experience. Yeah, it's priceless.
Do you have anything since you're chair that you're
Yeah, I met with Aaron Salisbury to go over the software, and it seems pretty comprehensive. And we were discussing that, and just wanted the commissions, fill out the commission if about some of these definitions, like, what is a vacant storefront, what is underutilized and all that. If I could just kind of go about and kind of define it myself, and then once we get it, this inventory a little more progressed, then if you could chime in and say, maybe something, if we didn't hit it, that you could ask about that, so that, just so I can continue on, but I don't want to go without the commission's approval.
I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with it.
Absolutely.
You can massage it.
Yeah, and
Sounds good.
so far, there's identified 412 properties altogether. There's entered fields Aaron has entered fields on 12 of them. So but there might be a few things in the fields that might add to the listing, I guess, all the items. So then that's where we left it because I wasn't comfortable saying, about definitions and all that. So I'll have to get back together with her and then we'll start doing our walks to, complete these fields on each of the properties
Is that 400 properties in the Main Street area or the city?
altogether. She had look like one of these redistricting boundaries that all went out and then
Oh, that's all properties, not all properties you've determined to be.
all properties altogether.
Okay, I'm like, wow.
From like Holton and
Yeah.
Midtown and coming down, what
Yeah,
Main
that's what-
Street's criteria is.
That is what Aaron had listed. So
I thought you meant 400 vacant or underutilized storefronts.
that's just on that,
Wow,
that's just on the block over there.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's where that's at. So this is, we had agreed to this methodology last during the joint commission. And that's how we're proceeding.
Great, thank you. Council liaison report, do you have anything for us?
What?
Summer. All right, any for your information items?
Something, I've been looking at parking plans. Just kind of scrape the surface. I'm hoping to put a scoping paper together and see if anybody has any appetite to do any or parts or all of it or that type of thing. So just,
Proposing it as a proactive item officially or?
yeah. And really, it should be the proactive segment. Or consideration.
With that, meeting's adjourned.